You're listening to WRUU-LP, Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM, WRUU.org. We are Savannah Soundings, community radio with global soul.
Check, check, 1, 2. Look like a little country. Some rock and roll and blues. 'Cause we sure love playing for good people like you. Let me know if you can hear me. Check, check, 1, 2.
Welcome to Music Local and Sustainable, the radio show that features discussions with and the music of local musicians. I am your host, Dave Lake. Tonight, we are talking with guitarist and vocalist and songwriter Anders Thomsen. Anders is probably best known as the lead guitarist of the outlaw country band Damon and the Bleep Kickers, but we see him around town along with many other bands. You'll notice him because he's the tall guitarist with a Western-style hat, and you can't miss him. Welcome, Anders Thomsen.
Very good to be here.
Let's start with the song Check, Check, 1, 2. And this is from your album, Anders Thomsen with the Downtown Sheiks. Listeners to the show will recognize this as our theme song.
Check, check, 1, 2. Can everybody hear me? I wanna pick a little guitar, sing a song for you. Look like a little country, some rock and roll and blues. Let me know if you can hear me. Check, check, 1, 2. Check, check, 1, 2. Is everybody ready? Let's get all tuned up. Yeah, and cut it loose. 'Cause we sure love playing for good people like you. Let me know if you can hear me. Check, check, 1, 2. Yeah. Sing every song like I lived it. Even if I ain't, I'm gonna take every note and bend it. Lord, till it almost breaks. Well, I know we ain't headed for the Hall of Fame. Gonna give it what we got, man, that ain't no shame. Let me know if you can hear me. Check, check, 1, 2. Let me know if you can hear me. Check, check, 1, 2.
We hear in the song that you play rock and roll, country, and blues. Mm-hmm. Is that the way you describe your music?
Yeah, probably. I don't know what else to call it. I mean, those are my three favorite styles. Other people have called it different things.
And what have they called it?
The Blasters called it American music, and a lot of people call it Americana. Those are our three bedrock type of American forms of music, leaving out jazz. I'm not that into jazz. I understand its significance, but in my world, those are the three types of music that make the world go round.
And you play electric rather than acoustic.
I do.
Now, I started with this song because it's a great song for beginning a concert. Do you begin concerts with this song?
I have. I usually do club day, and usually you don't start a set with an original song at a club day. You want to throw something out there that people have a better chance of knowing to introduce yourself.
I really love this song because the tone of it is I'm a working musician. I'm here to perform for you, and I enjoy performing for you. The line, because we love playing for people like you, is why I'm here.
Yeah, that's how it is. And that's one of the great things about being able to play some country and some blues and some rock and roll is you can usually find common ground with an audience. And can you adjust your set list slightly and fine tune it and say that people are, tonight they're really going for the Stevie Ray Vaughan and the Hank Jr. We'll stick in that vein. And if they seem like they're going somewhere else, you can go a little bit more Merle Haggard on them, or you can go Junior Brown, whatever they seem like they're into. If you get it right. Sometimes you miscalculate.
And one of my favorite lines from the song is, I'm going to sing every song like I lived it, even if I ain't. Going to take every note and bend it, Lord, until it almost breaks.
Yeah. Songwriting is a give and take with what you mean and what you're able to say given the restrictions of the song.
So what did you mean by that?
Well, I suppose I meant just what I said, that I'm going to try to sing the song like I've lived it, meaning like I fully understand the song, and hopefully I'll sound that way. And take every note and bend it. That's just, you bend a note on the guitar, and I'm going to bend it till it breaks.
There's a real humility in this, and I guess it's the humility of the standard performer, saying, well, I know we're not headed to the Hall of Fame, but going to give it all we got. Man, there's no shame.
Well, there you go. That's the way it is.
The performer and you, I mean, put yourself out there.
You do, to a certain degree. You are somewhat vulnerable, and you are taking the stage in a public place and saying, look at me and judge me. You're asking for it. And you go up there and you play what you practiced, and you hope you do it right, and you go from there.
And not every singer is in the Hall of Fame.
Certainly not.
The album is titled With the Downtown Sheiks. Mm-hmm. Is this a group of musicians you just put together, or do you play with them?
From people that played on the album, mostly in terms of numbers, were people that I don't play with regularly. Rufus Bryant, the drummer, I do play with regularly. He's a seriously good drummer who I intend to play with as much as possible. And Charlie, the bass player, moved to Oregon, and I'd probably still be playing with him, but we had to find somebody to replace him. And so far, it's taken 3 or 4 people to replace him, but we're doing all right. We've gotten, for the most part, I've got Maggie Evans is playing bass, and she is awesome. And I also have, on the nights that she can't do it, Jay Rudd from City Hotel playing bass, and he's a bad man on the bass. So it's going good.
Well, also on the album is, on several numbers that just pop, is Corey Chambers, also from City Hotel doing mandolin.
Yeah, absolutely. And Colleen, yeah. Figured I might as well call the best people I know to do this stuff. So I have Corey and Colleen for sure.
And of course, Colleen is from the Accomplices.
From the Accomplices, and Igor Fixman from Damon and the Pickers plays on the one song with Steele on it. Frederick Hodge, Charles's dad, played piano on 4 or 5 tracks. And of course, I got on one track is Matt Collette and Eric Dunn as the rhythm section, drums and bass.
The piano is really outstanding.
He's good, yeah. Fred's a really good player.
Is that done on piano or is it done on keyboards?
It wasn't a real piano.
Okay.
A synthesizer.
So it's a piano part from the keyboards. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Really good.
Yeah. He's a good player.
I mean, almost very honky-tonk in some of those numbers.
Yep.
Do you mean it to be listened to as a whole, or do you think it's a selection of songs?
I made it to be listened to at all. I suppose you make it to be listened to as a whole. I mean, you'd like to think that people would put it on and listen to it all the way through. You know, of course, that that's not what's going to happen. So the idea is that you put what you feel is the catchiest number first, and you work your way down, and you figuring if you get through about 4 songs, you've done a good job, and then you can kind of start to pick and choose. And there's a lot of schools of thought on how to pace an album, but usually you put the ones you think are best up top, and then whatever order you want coming in later.
When I listen to it, I hear time as a theme of the album, because there's Tomorrow, the song Tomorrow, which actually is a song that suggests that there is no tomorrow, not that there is a tomorrow. And then there's Here and Now, which is focus on the now. We know where you're coming from, but let's focus on the now. Then there's All the Time, and that's basically, we're dealing with this, but I'm about ready to say I've given you all the time I'm going to be able to give you.
Yeah.
And then, in a sense, Mama, I'll Try is doing time.
There you go.
And then I got into this time thing, and then said, maybe Tangled Up in the Sheets is closing time?
Well, it could be closing time, yeah.
So I don't know if that was in the back of your mind, or time is a part of your songs?
Well, no, I certainly didn't plan it that way at all. However, I've been working on at least one new song that definitely has time as the theme.
Well, as we're talking about time, let's just go ahead and listen to the song Tomorrow.
Along like a flame in gasoline. We were hell on wheels, an inferno machine. About the time we got together, they invented pills and booze. We were in love with each other, the rest is just bad news. We didn't give a damn about tomorrow. We both knew it never was gonna come. Burn it all and beg, steal, borrow. Don't leave nothing but smoke when you're all done. An hour from the day we were born. Where there was thunder, there was lightning. We were out there in the storm, making love in the rain, on a hill in the field. Knowing in the darkness, no truth revealed. We didn't give a damn about tomorrow. We both knew it never was gonna come. Burn it all and beg, steal and borrow. Don't leave nothing but smoke when you're all done.
What's the origin of this song?
It's made up. There are elements of it that come from my life in some sort of sense, but there are no specifics. A lot of the songs I write are like that. I'm not terribly autobiographical, but I like to, I maybe pick and choose from feelings that I've had, and there are some quotes in some songs and some anecdotes that are more or less true to life, but it's fiction.
So how do you write a song? What comes first, music, lyrics, or both?
Generally for me they come about the same time, because I can't really work on one without the other. I don't write a poem and then set it to music or the reverse. I might come up with a melody or a guitar lick, melody in my head, or I play the guitar and a cool lick, or a phrase. But then when that happens, I have to get them together pretty quick, because it's easier for me to put the meter together with music and sing it rather than say it or think it. So they pretty much go together.
Well, tell us a little bit about your musical journey.
Well, it's been great. I've been playing since I was about 12 years old. I started playing in mid-Michigan. I was lucky enough when I was 14 or so to join a band of musicians that actually had paying gigs, playing in bars and things. They were much older guys. And I learned a lot. I played bass because their bass player quit. And I was hanging around one afternoon and they said, "You want to play bass?" I said, "I sure do." I think I played with those guys for about 3 years, and I learned an awful lot. I learned the 3 bass lines that one could possibly play, about 10 songs, and a whole lot about music. Then I left Michigan and I moved to New York City, and I lived there for about 12 years and had a great time. Played a lot of music, learned a lot. And then I moved to Nashville, Tennessee with my band, The Ex-Husbands, which we started in New York. We played all over the country and put a couple albums out. And then that band more or less dissolved, and I took 10 years off from playing music between 2001 and 2011. Did some traveling, came home with a daughter, and then my wife and I and daughter moved down here. And Damon and company got wind that I was in town, and their guitar player was leaving town, and they asked me to come play with them, and I started playing Saturdays down at the Jinx, and it started all over again. And I couldn't be happier to be back doing it.
When you played with the Ex-Husbands, did you play lead guitar?
I played guitar and sang, wrote the songs. It was a 3-piece. I had a drummer and a bass player.
So really the only time you played bass, for the most part, was with that first group up in Michigan.
Yeah, here and there I do it every now and then. Yeah, I always wanted to be a guitar player, but that band needed a bass player, and I wanted to be in a band, so I didn't care what I played. But I learned an awful lot about playing guitar. That was a good group of musicians, and I watched, of course, that guitar player that played in that band and the others that we played with. Yeah, that was an education. Put on stage that young and told to stand in the corner and play the bass. Right. Damn it.
Well, there's a song on the album that really describes a musical journey, and that's Guitar Man.
Yes. Not my song. That's a Jerry Reed song.
Jerry Reed song.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that song. Love Jerry Reed.
Well, I quit the job down at the car wash, left my mama a goodbye note. By sundown, I left Kingston with my guitar, put on my coat. Hitchhiked all the way down to Memphis, got a room at the YMCA. For the next 3 weeks, I went haunting them night spots, looking for a place to play. Well, I thought my picking would set them on fire, but nobody wanted to hire a guitar man. Well, I nearly starved to death down in Memphis, run out of money and luck. So I bummed me a ride down to Macon, Georgia on an overloaded poultry truck. I hitchhiked down to Panama City, started checking out some of them all-night bars, hoping I could make me a little old dollar play music on my guitar. Got the same old thing from an all-night peers, there ain't no working around here for a guitar man. Don't need a guitar man. So I slept in hobo jungles, bumped 1,000 miles of track, till I found myself a mobile, Alabama, and a club they call Big Jack's. A little four-piece band was jamming, so I got my guitar and I sat in. Showed them what that band would sound like with a swinging little guitar. Man, it sounded like, yeah. Show 'em, son. If you ever take a trip down to the ocean, find yourself down around Mobile, make it on out to the club called Jack's if you got a little time to kill. Just follow that crowd of people, you'll wind up on his dance floor, digging the finest little five-piece band up in Gulf of Mexico. And guess who's leading that five-piece band? Wouldn't you know, it's that swinging little guitar man. He's gonna pick it again now, listen.
You've been playing in Michigan, you've been playing in New York, you've been playing in Nashville. Mm-hmm. How does Savannah compare to those other places?
It's smaller, obviously. It is a very lively music scene for a city its size. For, I believe, a certain type of musician, it's a much better place to be. There's a lot fewer people playing music than in New York or Nashville, of course. And it's all you run into up there. And there are not enough places for people to play. I think you can get more playing time here, and here you can actually make a living wage playing music if that's what you want to do. Nearly impossible in Nashville, and certainly in New York. So it's better in that way. And then other than that, I suppose it's a lifestyle thing. I like it here. I tell people, especially musicians that are from around here, you are lucky to be here because there's a lot of places to play that pay decent money.
I've heard in Nashville too that to really make it in Nashville, you either have to tour a lot or you have to be a studio musician.
Well, I don't know. Having never made it in Nashville, I couldn't tell you what the secret is. Touring is kind of part of life if you're going to try to attain anything more than local stature. And so that's part of life for anybody. I'm not sure that you can really expect to go to Nashville and become a session musician without putting in many years of shaking hands and doing sub jobs. They've got those guys already. They are the best in the world, and they're 10 deep up there. It's both discouraging and inspiring when you go there as a musician. When I moved there, I was floored. And half of me wanted me to just pack it in and say, all right, I'm not doing that anymore. But the other half got me excited about playing. So you had both of those things going on. I would say if there is a secret to making it in Nashville, it's just hanging around and getting to know as many people as you can and try to play good music. There aren't a lot of spots for country stars available, and there are a lot of people that want it. Luckily, it's a nice place to live, and if anybody asked me if they ought to go there, I'd say, yeah, do it. You're probably not going to make it, but there's worse places to be, and you'll have a lot of fun and hear a lot of great music. I'd say the same about New York, too. If you're a young person and you're up for doing it, go check it out.
When you came here to break into the music scene, it sounds like people knew of you. You came.
Some people did. I did have the help of my wife, who used to run the Jinx when it was called the Velvet Elvis. And Igor from Damon and the band, he may have even seen the Ex-Husbands when we played here back in the day, but they knew who I was. So I had a real leg up coming to Savannah, where I had never lived before, But I got to go on stage every week at the Jinx. That was easy for me, and lucky, really. I mean, for my playing, to get, after taking 10 years off, to get to practice like that, it really brought me back up to snuff. I think I'm better than I used to be, actually. And of course, just to be in front of people, other musicians. Look, you want to do something else? Let's do it. People know who I am, and they already know about me from having seen me play. And I don't have to explain to them play the guitar and sometimes write some songs. And that's been great because I've gotten involved in several other projects, more or less through Damon, or at least through that gig, which are really fun.
Well, let's go another song. This song is Here and Now.
Out of the bottle, the barn door's closed. You can click your heels together, but you can't go home. You can stare in the rearview mirror, you can wish upon a star, take a fast train to Georgia, but you won't get far. From the here and now, write a Dear John letter, make a long distance call. You can tell a made up story every time a teardrop falls. You can climb the highest mountain, walk down the longest road, but you're gonna wind up standing there alone. In the here and now, you may find there's comfort in the thought that we're all here together, all alone. In the here and now. In the here and now, in the here and now,
This song really starts out with a number of metaphors, similes, number of allusions right off the bat.
Yes,
it's sort of like one right after another, and you sort of want to go back over and over and over them to see the connection. Genie out of the bottle, barn door closed, you click your heels together, but you can't go home. You can see in the rearview mirror. You wish upon a star. You take a fast train to Georgia, but in all these cases, you won't get far from the here and now. How did you come up with all those different...
Well, that was the easy part, coming up with those cliches. Yeah, that was the easy part. kind of tying them all together is the key to that verse of that song. And I suppose the second verse as well, kind of telling people that wish things were different than they are, that they're not different than they are, and they are what they are. And I suppose then that there's the middle section. This is too much for you. Remember that we're all the same way, you know.
You can dream what you want to dream. You can believe what you want to believe. But we're all right here, here and now.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
live with it.
Pretty much, yeah. And I don't know who I was talking to. And I may have been talking to myself. But yeah, I'm glad you caught that.